Okay, the 10-minute how-to guide. All right, well, just to give you guys firstly a bit of comfort, so I've been a large tour operator in AAT Kings and APT. I've been a small tour operator running my own nature-based adventure hiking business that only we targeted between 600 and 900 people a year. Operated seasonally, closed down in the off-season and reopened every year. And now I'm a fairly large-scale accommodation provider with about 2,500 cabins and 4,000 camping sites every night of the year across Australia to sell. So been the full spectrum. Without a doubt, the hardest sector of tourism for me is the small, niche, multi-day accommodation, activity-based tour operator, because the awareness of those styles of product in destinations are usually pretty low. And so you're having to almost be a destination marketing organisation, an awareness of your category of activity, and then also you add the digital overlay of finding those people somewhere in the world. When you only need 600 of them, it's pretty small and it's pretty challenging. But on the whole, digital is, it's not a segment of your business. Digital is just here to stay. It's part of what you do. It's a mix, part of not just your marketing mix, it's part of your business. And it's a business strategy as much as it's a marketing strategy. So in terms of setting a scene, you'll see various incarnations of this, I think, from everybody that's already spoken before me. So it's really important to understand your customer's journey and what part you're trying to use a digital platform or a digital component and even offline to actually influence along the way. And also understanding where you fit. As a small business particularly, you can't do everything. You're not a destination marketing organisation. You can't do what Tourism NT does. You can't do what Tourism Central Australia does. So it's really important that you effectively form a circle and shake hands with everybody, from the person up the road who you could consider a competitor. But my experience in tourism is that very, very rarely is someone a pure competitor. It's usually a co-opetition is how I usually refer to it, that you can work with somebody next door because quite often they'll do 2 things in a visit or 3 things in a visit, and you should all work together. The interesting thing that we're finding, particularly with caravan parks, where we are a 100% drive tourism business, our people are arriving very unstructured. They're quite often arriving, as they were saying before, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, turn up at the door. The search for our product and products in general online can take about 6 seconds. People's tolerance from the research that we've done is about 6 seconds, that from a search on Google to clicking through to your website, if something goes wrong in that 6 seconds, they'll discard you. So your performance of your website, the speed of your website, all those little things before they even get to see the beautiful, pretty pictures that you've put on TripAdvisor and all those sorts of things. If something falls over in that initial click-through from search, everything else you've done will fall away. And as I said, just understanding your role in this awareness journey. Are you about awareness or are you about emotional delivery? And I think Mitch showed a video that I was going to show as well, but I won't repeat it. As a tour operator particularly, and even as a caravan park operator, we're not there. It's not just about the bed. It's not just about the camel that you ride on. It's about what's the emotional takeout of a guest after they've actually experienced that. If you think from a walking tour perspective, we used to work backwards from the shareability moment of what was the emotional high that we wanted people to share on Instagram or on Facebook at that moment when they knew they'd finished the walk. We used to design our experience around that backwards. So taking the three areas though that we were asked to have a quick look at was pre-arrival, mapping your customer journey. As I said, 80% of our customers in caravan parks are within 500 kilometres of a caravan park when they make a booking. That can be, we have a very local market in a market like Adelaide. We have people who travel 45 minutes for their summer holiday and live less than 20, 30 kilometres from the park they spend their summer at every time. Or a park like Darwin, they'll be on their way from Katherine and they'll be making a booking on the road as they travel. We are a very interesting sector of tourism. nearly 100% of our bookings come within 50 days of travel. So we spend our life effectively just filling. We can have caravan parks that start the month virtually empty and finish the month having had 40 or 50% occupancy. So digital for us underpins everything we do. It's really important, I think, one of the things as a small business and as you start to explore these amazing tools that are available to you like Google Analytics, you can get overwhelmed with data and you can find these amazing charts and graphs that show you these amazing things in Google Analytics. And Mitch, I'm sure, will show you some this afternoon. But to me, it's really important that you measure the same thing consistently. Pick 10 metrics that you know drive your business that give you an indication of whether you're doing well, and measure the same thing regularly and look at the trend of what you do, because you can get really carried away with looking at these fantastic social hemisphere diagrams and these amazing things of the click-through paths from X to Y, which will, when you first start measuring, always look fantastic because you've gone from a zero base. But it's really important that the key, half a dozen or dozen metrics that you use to run your business, you consistently look at over time. As I said before, know your role. Lots of things there that we don't have a lot of time to go through, but if I was looking at the top things to do as I either started my digital journey or if I'd done a digital audit of my footprint in that customer journey, I'd be looking at these key things and making sure I had ticks in these boxes. In terms of actual things that make a difference to my business and what drives my revenue, search marketing and email marketing are the two highest performing digital parts of my marketing mix. I have search metrics of about 6 to 8 times spend on ROI, which in general, as a general rule of thumb, as your brand awareness goes up, the cost of your ROI from search should actually improve. And then email marketing, we can achieve between a 16 and 19 times ROI on sending out an email in terms of actually generating sales. So, very important parts of our mix. But as I said before, we focus very much on the emotional moments. We're just about to relaunch our brand in the marketplace, and everything is being developed backwards from our brand promise is discover what matters as a caravan park. That probably sounds a bit lofty, but what we do is we're about emotional connection with groups of people, whether that's families, workers working together and staying in our parks. And what we look for is to capture those emotional moments, and that's what we want people to share on social media or blog about or talk about or create word of mouth about. In terms of on the ground, once they arrive, there are so many cool tools. It's surprising that you really couldn't walk around with a mobile phone in Darwin or Alice Springs and handpick your customers, really, with the way that you can profile people and target them, and then you should be able to just sort of tap them on the shoulder and tell them they should stay with you, but I'm sure that'll come. Review sites and apps, there's, as the ladies have already talked about with TripAdvisor, customers they are looking for guidance, and it's the word of mouth hemisphere. They used to ask their friends, now their friends or their reference group are online. So you need to be on review sites, but you also need to bring those reviews into your own website, and to try and counter the leakage of all of your bookings going back through OTAs, and maintain some sort of direct revenue stream. But the customer will ultimately decide where they want to book. Local influencers, as I said, and Tamara was talking about before, you still need to be in your VICs. You still need to be, if you're a tour operator and attraction, have relationships with your local hotels. You need to partner up, as we've already said, with distribution. And distribution is probably, I think, the greatest marketing challenge in the digital space. And particularly if you are a tour operator who operates multi-day product, the longer your tour goes for, the less distribution options you have. There's a plethora of hotel sellers, and there's fabulous Viator who does tours and attractions, particularly in the one-day space and half-day space, really well. The moment you add a multi-night stay to your tour and attraction, becomes more challenging to distribute online. And scalability. Choose robust partners, in particularly cloud-based partners in the digital space. You don't want to find that you've built this fantastic custom digital platform that then when your business starts to grow, it doesn't actually provide you with the foundations that you can be a business that doubles your size overnight or doubles your size relatively quickly and then have to start from scratch. Key opportunity here though on the ground I'd say is just making sure that again thinking about yourself from the must do moment across all of those different things. What's the thing? What do you want people to tell you? Tell their friends about. Bridge climb is the climb of your life. They want to tell. That's the reaction they want from people when you come off the end of bridge climb in Sydney. So what's the emotional thing that you want people to say about your product after they've finished? Post arrival. I'd be looking at curating and orchestrating that moment. How can you actually, when they're on the ground with you as a tour operator, what can you do? You can map that journey and you can create the points where they stop and share, where they take a photo, where they actually, you can make those moments, curate those moments throughout your tour product or your experience. Not in a really homogenous way that everybody is photographed from the same point, but you can actually take steps to actually make sure you think about the way people will share you online. And don't be shy. Ask people to share. Get them to tag, ask if you can tag them. Get them to like your Facebook page. Make sure that, you're in business to be in business. And I know social, sometimes people think, do I really want to be friends on Facebook and all those sorts of things? Well, as a business, it's a distribution channel and it's an opportunity to be seen and heard. So don't be shy because your competitors won't be either. Collate a database of people. It's a data-driven world and it is about still having the opportunity to market to people post-stay and getting them to, even if you think they will never come back to Central Australia and that you're a one-off experience, they have the opportunity to tell friends and they will, and they will. They'll share. If they had a great time, they will share. So creating the opportunity and diarising later on, when there's some really interesting data around, the peak time in customer experience around when to actually start marketing the next experience. Surprisingly, it's actually before they've even finished the one that they're on now. So being able to, remind people later on, 1 day, 5 days, 10 days out, a year anniversary since they were on your trip or your tour or stayed at your hotel, reminding them of those moments becomes a fantastic part of your word of mouth strategy. So this is not a tourism one particularly, but I guess when all of this comes together and you've got the foundations right, it allows you to be quite agile. And this is one from Adelaide, as you know, or you may have heard, we had some rain last week. A lot of tradies were left with nothing to do. So the Evoca Hotel in just out of Adelaide teamed up with the radio station Triple M, and within about 3 hours of the rain starting, they had this post up on Facebook saying, tradies, if your building site's washed out, we've got a free tradies day and Palmer and a pot for $10 at the pub, which I thought was a fantastic example of being agile and using social media to actually understand your customers' predicament and being able to put a product in the market really, really quickly. 10 minutes is a very short period of time to be able to sum up everything from how to be a digital guru as a tour operator. But please, I'm around all day, so please come and ask. But on the whole, understand your customers, know what you're trying to communicate at each of those stages of the customer journey, pick good digital partners, and don't try to do everything. And remember that nobody is doing it perfectly. That's probably just to give you a bit of comfort. Everybody across probably in the room and everyone across Australia is grappling with similar things. So there's no one killer business that has got this all in line. Not us, not in any of the businesses I've worked in. So take heart, you're in the same boat as a lot of other people.
I was only going to give you 6 seconds actually to do your presentation, but that's all right. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? When you think about it, 6 seconds, that's all you've got. in some instances to make it all happen. I just want to call out there that shareability moment, and I think that collective database, I think it is important. The one note about you don't have all of your, that may not be coming back, you can easily find lookalikes now through different digital platforms. When you have a database of people, you can upload that into places like Facebook and find lookalikes rather than the person that has already come, because that person is just like someone else out there who hasn't come yet. You can use the data to do that. So that database and that collective database from a digital leap point of view might be a really big opportunity for us.